So we'll see if whether or not we will be seeing that Twisted Fate around today.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Nope.
No, there's the ban.
Nope.avi.
What are you doing to me, Dynamic?
Let's start the day out right.
But it should be pretty cool to see what Dynamic pulls out of the hat, because Zion Spartan is one of the most phenomenal top players. And I think it's interesting. If you look back 6 months ago in the NA scene, there was really a dearth of strong top players. Like, all of them, they were kind of struggling. They would only play like 1 or 2 champions. There wasn't a lot of versatility. They weren't playing the AP champions. They were only playing the bruisers that they favorited. And now, over time, we've seen just this massive scene built where, we have a lot of really strong top laners, Zion Spartan being one of them. But we'll have to see how they can run the lanes. Zig as well has been a phenomenal AD carry in the bottom lane. He plays basically every champion. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch, him versus Calmei, who can come out on top there. Paradoxical, though, in the mid lane. He has been known to be prone to mistakes, but he is a very aggressive player, and if Messiah plays a kind of squishier character like TF or Cassiopeia, though actually both of them being banned out, then Paradoxical could maybe take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm noticing all the bans coming in for World Elite, and Shen, Cassiopeia, and Alistar, they're all 3 champs that do very well in a lot of like close quarters combat. That Shen taunt, the Cassiopeia ult, Alistar with the Pulverize, a lot of very up close and personal teams. So it seems that Gigabyte they may actually be looking to just hold off and trying to get their damage before they go in. Like, Sona ult is going to be fantastic. Vlad, I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about Vlad from both of the Asian teams. He may see a lot of play this weekend, actually.
Yeah, Vladimir's just been such a strong pick for so long. He's just, a phenomenal pick all around. There are some bruisers that are starting to come into play in the top lane that do very well against Vladimir, so that's always going to be a concern, particularly if Zion Spartan gets someone like Aurelia, since Aurelia is just basically unstoppable in the top lane. Like, in my mind, we're going to be seeing a lot of Aurelia this weekend, just because of how strong overall she is, and it is a very strong matchup against Vladimir, so he's going to have to worry about that. Though, we'll see. Messiah could potentially run Vladimir in the jungle. We'll have to see what kind of jungler they're going to pick. I know that they've been playing a lot of Maokai, but Skarner has been very popular in that Asian scene as well.
Yeah, Skarner, not a whole lot of NA teams really run Skarner all too much, but it's just a matter of, how do you beat Skarner? Just make sure he doesn't close the gap, make sure he doesn't get in there. Granted, he can, flash pull, fantastic tool. You'll see a lot of Skarners rush that early Shirelias to try and go ahead and close that gap. And then also Sona nearby, though. She's got that speed buff. She can go ahead and just pop that, and has a little bit extra boost, a few extra inches there for him to get on in.
Yeah, the mobility that Sona gives to your team is absolutely phenomenal as the game progresses. Counter initiation, everything about her. She also pairs very well with Graves, so we'll see how that lane kind of works out. Ezreal and Blitzcrank is an extremely aggressive lane, but Graves, he has great pushing potential. He can control the wave, maintain its momentum very easily. So he will have to worry about the fact that he's short range, and Ezreal's attack speed slow, coupled with Blitzcrank's aggressiveness, could hurt them some. But we'll see where they go. Yorick, so that's definitely interesting. I was kind of thinking we might see the Aurelia, but Paradoxical grabbing that Ahri, it's one of his most played champions, and Ahri and Morgana, and he really is a phenomenal Ahri player. So we'll see, how WeGigabyte is going to respond to that.
But it's also, keep in mind that Vlad, he could go mid, he could go top, and that's the beauty behind some of these early picks, is they are very ambiguous. You don't quite know where he's going just yet until the entire team flushes out. But there is the Aurelia being considered here, so Vlad mid, Aurelia top could be a possibility. But also, and it bears mentioning because it does happen quite often, sometimes when a team does pick Yorick, that does leave open that possibility for that top bot lane switch.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a concern. The one issue with the top bot lane switch in this situation, if they did decide to do that, is that Graves and Sona have much stronger pushing potential than Ezreal and Blitzcrank do. So when you do that swap, you're usually looking to see really aggressive early towers go down. However, if Graves and Sona, if they stick in the bottom lane, they're going to be able to push against Yorick a little bit more easily. Aurelia will struggle in that lane just because of the aggression of them, but she can sit back, allow them to push into her, and then she should be okay. So we'll see that. It does have the potential of shutting down Aurelia early in the game. However, Yorick already does very well at that for the first couple of levels.
Yeah.
Up until about level 6, Yorick will beat Aurelia, but at that point, her sustain is just a little bit too high. So it's kind of an even matchup from then on. But Aurelia, after she hits 6, she starts to have enough damage with the true damage on her W to chase down Yorick. So we'll have to see how that lane's going to work out. But Vladimir is a very fun pick in the mid lane. It's been a while since I've seen a mid Vladimir, but one of the nice things with Vladimir in the mid lane is because it's such a short lane, you don't have to worry about champions that have a lot of chasing potential. Ari still has that. Ari still has that, strong engage potential. But we'll see how Vladimir is going to work in there. As long as he can dodge some of Ari's skill shots, then he's actually going to be able to exchange damage a little bit more easily than Ari can. He can just walk up, transfuse, and slowly wear her down. But Ari's burst damage is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, but Vlad, he is relatively safe there in the mid. He does have the escape button. He's got the pool. So whenever he sees like an orb coming his way, which may land that finishing blow, if he wants to go ahead and evade a charm, if he wants to get out of a little bit of a sticky situation with Skarner coming in the lane, pools, floats away, troll faced in the middle of that pool as he's getting out of there, and everything's fine. Everything's hunky dory.
Yeah, no, it is going to be a pretty safe lane. Aurelia, as well, is generally speaking pretty safe, though she could be kind of vulnerable if they have the aggressive Nocturne ganks. The best thing about Nocturne is that he is more of that control jungler. He has the movement speed and he has the initiation from a range, so he can kind of keep an eye on Skarner. They both kind of fulfill similar roles, except Nocturne has, the global presence, which is always going to be a nice benefit. And that's something that, we Gigabyte, they're actually known to go for a lot of times, is to try and get those globals. But not in this game. Skarner, the benefit of Skarner is just his mobility and clearing speed. You really look for Skarner as like a counter initiation usually. Then once you hit 6, you can, clearly take people down with your ultimate. But for the most part, he's going to want to sit back, just control his jungle, and then wait until Nocturne makes a move. Wait until Atlanta makes a move, so he can come in, try and clean things up, and counter him out some.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard for Gigabyte to actually go for those global ults that kind of comp when TF is the first one banned out straight up. And so Dynamic, they've done their homework. They know partially what to expect here, but still though, with this kind of team cup, just one pull from Skarner, one money Sona ult could wreak quite a bit of havoc. But if anyone can pull this out, quite literally, it is Blitzcrank.
Yeah, no, Blitzcrank is just such a fun pick all around. We'll see how Pixel does in this. I would like to give a quick shout out, though. We have Pluto running the camera for us. Sexy Pluto in the room. Thank you. I really appreciate it. He's going to be here, with us this weekend. It should be a really fun tournament. I'm looking forward to it. The venue is just phenomenal. If you're here, it's going to be a lot of fun later on in the day. So we'll be able to take a look at that. But everyone coming into play, and Dynamic, they actually have a really strong level 1 team. So we'll see if they try for any early invades.
Yeah, we got a lot of pings actually going by friendly wraiths there for Dynamic, so we will see where they mobilize. But you also see the bot brush in the river being pinged out by World Elite, so they may be looking to just assemble there, make their way, travel on up. But you do see that If is actually a little bit far away on a Sona, puts down a ward just for a little bit of vision, and actually should see that Dynamic is actually making their way up. Yeah, there is that ward in the river. They did see him spotted. And you see World Elite, they're pinging backwards. Both teams pinging Wee's bush here in the blue. It could be messy. It could be weird in a second, but that is great ward coverage from Dynamic. If Pixel gets the right positioning, he can just get that one great pull and really start this match off right.
Yeah, I really love what World Elite's doing right now, trying to position themselves in the jungle. And so they're always keeping vision. Kalme, he's sitting up in the front, so they might, or WX is sitting up in the front. He might have to watch out for that. So we'll see if maybe they force a bad initiation, but they're ready. They can steal that red pretty easily. It should be a lot of fun. We have a lot of really intense teams here. If you're not checking out the streams, if you don't know the info, we have a lot of cool teams, and I do know that we do have some Chinese streaming as well. So World Elite fans rejoice world around, but we'll have to see. I mean, they have had some nice Korean experience in OGN.
Oh, Dwex, he's right there in that bush. Zig did get the vision. You do have the Q coming in from Atlanta. He will get that nice little squish, that satisfying squish sound when you do hit someone with that Q. So you got a little bit of vision. And now Dynamic knows, okay, our red, it's pretty much gone, but we're not in a position to really do a whole lot about it, nor can we invade. So right now, Dynamic, there's like, you know what? You can have it. We'll do the best with what we can. Skarner is primed for a good level 2 gang too. He's got that red. He can maneuver his way on down. But also remember that World Elite's blue is still warded here from Dynamic, so they should see YJ actually go for it. But you do see Atlanta; he should be securing his own.
Yeah, and the big thing is that Atlanta was slowed down a little bit. He's going to be fine, with his jungle. He's Nocturne's fast enough.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that big of an issue. However, if he had a harder pull where he wouldn't have to use Smite, he actually could have very easily ran in and tried to steal the red from Skarner. We'll see where he goes from there. He is starting to make his way up there, but he did use his Smite, so that's going to be a really difficult engage for them. And in the meantime, Skarner unaware. We'll see, how they kind of meet paths a little bit later in the jungle.
This could be a little hairy. You do see Atlanta. He's making his way through. He may attempt to steal the red without Smite. This could be very risky. And if YJ actually does see that the red has been pulled, pings are going down over by the red buff. Atlanta could be in a very bad spot. You do see they're starting to close the gap. They're trying to sandwich him in, but Ari, the presence in mid, York, the presence in top, just a little bit. It's like, okay, we know that you know that we know that you know. So no.
Yeah, I think they know pretty
I think they know.
significantly. But Pixel and Zig sit in the bottom lane doing some nice job down there. The pull, once again, that's the second minion pull. But Skarner so far, YJ, he's been able to push some early advantages over Nocturne. So that's definitely going to be huge. If he can keep that up, he has the early level advantage. Having the red as well, it's going to slow down some of Nocturne's ganking potential. But we'll see how they transition out of that. It should be kind of exciting to see these early levels. Both Dynamic and World Elite are known to be extremely aggressive teams. World Elite in particular, since the experience that they've had playing against teams like a Zubu Blaze, and some of those other teams at OGN, they have been known for some early aggressive pushing, and that's one of the strengths of Graves, is that really aggressive early game pushing because of how easily you can clear the waves.
But also remember that this is Dynamic we're talking about here. We're talking about a team that loves to go for those early objectives, early dragons, early barons, if the opportunity presents itself, especially the early barons. If they can manage to pull it off here, it could be huge. But they have a decent amount of speed when it comes to the Baron. I mean, Atlanta, it naturally builds into a Wriggles, so he's going to have that form at least. But we'll see how they mobilize. We'll see where they go from here, because Aurelia is actually getting quite a bit of good damage down onto York here top lane.
Yeah, and York can exchange pretty easily. He has the regen advantage over Aurelia right now. But in the meantime, Atlanta doing a nice job keeping an eye on Yorick up there. He needs to be extremely aggressive, Zion Spartan does, in order to win this lane, or at least be in control early. So they want to make sure that they don't allow Skarner to get any sort of early aggression. But in the meantime, YJATM, he's going to be moving over. He can steal this race pretty easily if he decides to. But they do have to worry about Atlanta sitting in the top lane. They just aren't quite aware of him yet. And the lane is actually pushing away from Aurelia right now.
Well, Aurelia does look to go over a little bit harassed there, but Atlanta, if he wants to make his turn worthwhile, a kill has to happen. The more time he's staying around top,
the low coming in mid can't quite get the engage on Paradoxical.
Yeah, the more Atlanta wasted just a whole bunch of time top lane for something that wasn't going to happen. That allowed YJ to steal the wraiths, make an attempt on Ari, and just go right back to his normal path. He may actually hit 5 before Atlanta dings 4, and that's going to be a huge disadvantage right here for Dynamic.
Yeah, and any early ganks are going to be throwing Atlanta further and further behind. The really nice thing that YJ has done so far, though, is by warding those wraiths, he has a general idea of where Atlanta is, and so Aurelia knew to play very conservatively in the top lane because they haven't seen Nocturne in a while. Skarner was sitting there waiting by the race. He's like, hey, Nocturne, you planning on showing up any second now? And so now he's actually moving up top because he knows he wants to counter out Nocturne if he's up there, or maybe force an engage of their own. But because they don't have vision, we'll see if they go in for it. The snare, though, actually from Aurelia, the dive onto Zion, the flash from YJ, they have the ignite as well, the red buff, and the first blood does go down in that top lane.
And you don't always need level 6 on Skarner to go ahead and get those aggressive ganks coming in from behind the lane. Granted, yeah, it helps, but also keep in mind too that these are two champs who, it's a race. It's a race to see who can hit 6 first, because those ultimates, when they come into play, just help ganks out so much. And with that kill, YJ has now hit 6, should be going back to base, should be buying something nice. Atlanta dinged 4, still has he's 2 levels behind. 2 levels behind, does not have the ult. He's not going to be able to even help counter gank.
Yeah, and he is going to catch up some off of that top lane CS, but the really nice thing that Skarner did after that gank is just pushing the wave really aggressively into the turret. That's another strength of Skarner, is his pushing as well. So he's able to throw the wave into the turret. Zion Spartan is extremely far behind now. Zion Spartan is a full half level, almost actually a full level behind Aurelia, so full experience-wise. So that's definitely going to be difficult for him, because now Aurelia can start to itemize in that damage. The Phage in particular with the true damage, but Zion actually chasing down Kai Mesum with Atlanta in the support. She should be able to get out of there, but still a little bit of pressure. But this is a nice one lane for Aurelia.
There is the pull coming in from YJ down onto Pixel. Does force the flash. He is still exhausted as well. Just trying. It's a race to get back to the tower. You have the swing coming down. You have the mana shield going to keep him safe, but Zig is a little bit low, but nice pull down onto YJ. Going to put it in a tower range, but not going to be enough for the kill. And WX, he's low. Didn't die a lot. Great engage from both teams, but no capitalization from either, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Zig playing extremely aggressive right there, was just sitting in the middle of the team, wearing down WX. Isn't quite able to get it. The hook not hitting on Sona, so they will be safe there, but they are pretty low. Now Sona has the regen advantage. Graves, he can push up this lane. He has the lifesteal as well, and so that will deny Zig a little bit. Sona has a little bit to go before hitting 6, so they probably won't die for this or anything. They'll go back, regen, and then we'll see how that lane progresses.
Now, this is the beauty of having someone in the mid, an AP mid, that doesn't use mana. The jungler, if they choose, can just go ahead and keep it for themselves. And Skarner is definitely one of those junglers that really benefits from having the blue. He can go ahead and he can actually roam longer. He can, he can last longer without feeling obligated to actually go back to base and regen all that stuff. But you do have Atlanta did decide to pass it on to Paradoxical here. And, quite frankly, Ari's having a little bit more success than Atlanta is at the moment, so might as well just go ahead, give the buff to, someone who can do something a little bit better with it.
Yeah, and Paradoxical doing a nice job of coming down to the bottom lane, wants to make sure he just defends them from pushing. Otherwise, they actually would have been able to take down that turret. But even so, it does put them ahead in all 3 lanes, because Paradoxical, he's left the mid lane. That gives Messiah some time to continue farming. Messiah has a level advantage. Aurelia in the top lane has a level advantage over York, and there's also a level advantage in the bottom lane for Gigabyte right now by being able to deny the creeps into the tower. And then also, if they can start pushing down these towers and snowballing this, they could very quickly build on that lead. So it's only a 2k gold advantage right now, but the level advantages give the lane control where they can try and bully around dynamic some and deny some of that farm.
And also notice right now that every lane from World Elite is actually pretty much winning in CS here. Top lane is actually starting to spiral out just a little bit. Like Aurelia may actually have about almost 25 creeps up, but you do have YJ. He's going to be going for his rates. Para does see him.
Oh, the hook from Pixel in the bottom lane, almost hitting onto Graves, but they will back off. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, watching Dynamic as they try and, bring themselves back in this game. Now, Ari does have great mobility, and that's one of the big strengths of their team. Same thing with Nocturne. They can get ganks off anywhere, and if they can, use that, they can try and snowball. They have a very aggressive team. And then they know that they should be able to allow Zion Spartan to just sit up in the top lane. That means most of their ganks are going to be focused on this bottom lane. There's going to be a lot of pressure there. And Skarner, he knows it, so he's going to be focusing down there. But so far, they just look unprepared for some of the early aggression from World Elite, and World Elite's been able to take some nice advantages in lane.
And you know what? That Oracle's onto Skarner right now is just hammering that point home. Dynamic, they need to get something done about their ward coverage. Look at bot tower. That thing is so ridiculously low already. It's 500 health, just about, 1 or 2 waves. Or if you get a kill down there, you can just push it and just go. You can keep pushing if you really want to. And with that Oracles, you can go ahead and clear out all the ward coverage you want. And if we decide to, they can just actually keep pushing till they get to tier 2 in bot here. Get WX even more farmed.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Aurelia is going to jump on the Zion Spartan, actually throwing off the Ignite, the ultimate as well. Transcendent Blades, one more attack would be able to do it, but Kalme does allow him to get out of there. So he leaves with his life, but he is extremely far behind and falling even further behind. And in the meantime, World Elite, they're sitting in the bottom lane. They're ready. If Ezreal just comes slightly too far forward, that Sona ultimate is just going to ruin his day.
There is a Scorpion in the bush. You do not want to be stepping on him. You will get pinched. You will die. it's going to be a very, very bad time if someone gets caught. And Pixel almost edging on in. This is like, oh, they're stepping on glass and they don't even know it right now.
Yeah, I think Pixel was actually trying to bait it out some, see if he could get someone to peek. There they actually see Skarner.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
The Ezreal Q, the Mystic Shot, they're
Good.
able to get that vision. Or they don't get the vision, but they at least
They get
know
the
he's
sound.
there. And Aurelia moving down to the bottom, so they could actually go for this dragon pretty easily.
They're going for Dragon. World Elite is going for Dragon, and they don't care if Dynamic knows about it. You just saw Aurelia just stroll right past Ari. It was like, oh, Ari, how are you doing? Oh, that's a very nice dress you have on today. We're gonna go grab Dragon. You know, we'll be back in like 5 minutes. You want to get some tea or something? That's fine. That's fine. It's all good. And now you see all of World Elite. They're going down bot. They want to destroy it. This is a great opportunity, top lane for Atlanta and Zion to actually go ahead and take that tower. But look at Skarner. He's set up.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about what World Elite did with the Dragon is Sona was actually taking it for them. So Skarner, he's pretty weak at doing Dragon. He will get kind of low, but they were able to kill it very quickly with their team there. And because Sona tanked it, it allows Skarner to continue to be aggressively, and he's actually moving in right behind the team. But Ari is here as well. If they can force the engage, Pixel with the pop-up, and there's the Ari coming in. The Sona ultimate hits, but actually Graves is very close to going down. The Charm misses. The pullback from Skarner just barely saving Graves, but he might go down himself now. Losing that Oracle's Messiah coming in, trying to clear things up for them. We'll get some nice AoE damage. Paradoxical is actually going to go down to the Graves buckshot, and they can actually turn this around. One kill, another kill.
Nice.
And so a double kill for Messiah. It looked like World Elite was actually going to fall behind there, but Messiah with the great follow-up was able to protect them. But Nocturne, picking up the kill.
The fear tether's coming down onto Graves. He is exhausted as well, but can Atlanta actually get this kill? I'm not sure if he will. Lex, can you get that kite down? Can it actually Atlanta? No, with that Q, all the extra damage you needed and the movement speed will go ahead and do some clean up duty. But that's the thing though, World Elite after that fight, they are still maintaining their lead. It's a near solid 3K lead that they're building up, 2K lead, I'm sorry, that they're building up for themselves. So despite all that action, the lead has actually been maintained. Nothing has really changed.
Yeah, but the big thing is they're moving further and further into late game, and their late game team is phenomenal. Same thing with Dynamic, or at least Dynamic's mid game team is very strong. So, you know, both teams have a strong late game. We'll have to see how that's going to kind of work out. But Graves almost surviving there, just 1 second left until that buckshot. Then he would have been able to take down Atlanta, but. Nice job with the follow-up. And, you know, that's what they're trying to do with the Nocturne is get that follow-up on those engages. You know, we'll see. I mean, both teams really want to pressure this bottom lane. World Elite, you know, they have a slight initiation advantage, or they have the Sona to allow them to kite pretty easily, but Dynamic has the initiation advantage with both Nocturne and Ari. Yeah,
World Elite, they have a better escape button. They have a better contingency plan with the Sona ult if things just happen to get hairy. So if Dynamic wants to get in on these fights, it's a commitment. And most team comps, when you have a Nocturne, when it goes in straight for that back line, you are committed. It is do or die. And we'll see where they go from here, though. We'll see if the damage actually does stack up. But you do see, though, Atlanta has actually taken a pretty good lead now. He's rebounded a little bit. He's got a 2-level lead, actually, now onto YJ. It's just a matter of, it's playing catch-up. And those kills down bot really, really helped this game.
Yeah, and I like what Zig's doing with his item build too, because he started off with the Phage, which is very strong with Ezreal and allows him to start pressuring the early game, but then transitioning into a BF sword. So the big thing is, if you go Triforce on Ezreal, it's a very strong build. It allows you to bully some lanes. Calme, though, going after Zion, and he's going to drop very quickly. I don't think that Yorick can even lane against him at this point. I think that Aurelia is far enough ahead. She can just abuse him all day.
She's stacking up pretty well. She's just, she's got 2 of the 3 parts of the training force done already. Actually, you got the dagger as well, so that thing's going to be done. Actually, just might as well just go back and buy it now, even if you have the gold. But you do see all this pressure coming in from Moldoli here down bot lane as a 4-man push, just ducking in and out. And Pixel and Zing are like, what do we do? If we get a pull, we're going to die. If we stick around, we're going to die. There's no choice but to retreat. Atlanta does push the lane up, down, and mid, but look at all this aggression coming in from... They're just... World Elite, they're just sticking around in Dynamic's jungle. It's no big deal. And also, Ping's going down onto Ari, coming back from top. They know she's coming on in, but all 5 are in mid. They're pushing, and Dynamic is not prepared.
Yeah, they're looking to snowball this game very aggressively, and that tower is going to go down after one more attack. Paradoxical actually just barely able to defend that, so clearing out the minion waves, that is going to be a concern for World Elite coming coming forward. If Dynamic is ready for them, Dynamic can clear the waves very easily, and then Graves, because of his short attack range, it makes it difficult for him to push down towers. But we'll see. With their early advantage, they should win early fights.
And you also need to have the tools like the Ezreal ult as well. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be an easy way to try and defend these towers, just a matter of all of Dynamic actually being there. Nice hook coming up on the WX. The Stone Ult going to try and make the best of the situation. Graves, Yorick actually does go down in that. But yeah, Graves, really quick kill. Parrot still trying to use the ult to the best of his ability. Trying to get a little bit extra damage, but quick. Real quick, 1-for-1.
And that's the concern with Graves against this skill shot comp, is that he needs to be up close to the front line in order to get his damage down, but if he just moves slightly out of position, either Pixel or Paradoxical are going to make him pay for it. That's a huge strength for Dynamic. We'll see how World Elite will kind of deal with that as the game progresses, but as long as he stays in the back, he should be okay, and I don't know, we'll just have to see how they pursue it. But going back to what I was kind of saying earlier, so Ezreal, Zig starting off with the Phage, but then transitioning over to a BF Sword. And the big thing there is that Trinity Force is a very strong item on Ezreal. It allows you to control the lane very easily. It's very strong in team fights. However, World Elite, they have a number of tanks up in the front line, and there's not going to be a good means for Ezreal to engage on, Graves as an AP carry, but Vladimir in particular. Vladimir wants to play close to the front line, and so Ezreal, he needs the damage to take him down, and you don't get that from a Triforce. You need to go for like an Infinity Edge or a Bloodthirster in order to have enough damage to take down tanky frontline champions.
Yeah, because Messiah, if you chunk him out, is like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to Q and E, and hey, look, all my health is back. It's no big deal. But yeah, if you do have that sustained damage, it's a little bit more difficult. But look, World Elite, they're here. They've got the Dragon Timer down, Pat down, perfect pink ward. It's sure, it's clear, and this is patiently waiting. Come back home. We want to give you a hug. There you go. And World Elite should be able to secure Dragon number 2 here. And Dynamic, they're none the wiser. They're nearby. Give an inkling. There's the ward, and now they do it. But by the time Dynamic gets around, it's going to be gone already. Attempt on the Ezreal ult to try for the steal with Zig is just a hair too late. Will not be able to get this Dragon number 2.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity for World Elite right now because they just finished all their items at the same time. Just perfect timing as a team.
Oh, yeah.
Bloodthirster on Graves, so he gets that very early in the game. Triforce, Rabadons, they are incredibly strong. They can take down the mid turret. And Dynamic being 4K behind, and the fact that World Elite went for these aggressive early items, it really means that Dynamic shouldn't be able to fight them. If Dynamic can pick off Graves, then yes, that's going to be phenomenal for them. But they are at a serious disadvantage right now because of World Elite's item selection. So we'll see how they go with it. Paradoxical almost being done that Rabadons, but we'll see if he actually finishes off the DFG first so that he can, quickly burst down Graves.
Pixel will get spotted out by that ward on the side of the river, but they have one of their own, so everyone's recognizing that, what's dancing around Baron, let's face it, we're both doing it. Let's just kind of back off for a little bit. Atlanta actually going on in. He's getting a ward or two down, just checking things out. But you have Para, you got Zig still back in the mid, looking to just push the lane, trying to get that aggression going. There you go, Atlanta with the oracles there. So YJ did not rebuy his when he died, and it's actually getting chunked out pretty well there. So yeah, no oracles right now on World Elite.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to note, the Oracles, it will stall them out a little bit.
Yeah.
They won't be able to push quite as aggressively on Dynamic because they have to constantly be wary of, Graves going down very quickly. The engage from Dynamic is phenomenal. But it's interesting to note that Nocturne, despite the early disadvantages, he does have a nice jungling lead. Aurelia diving onto Zion Spartan once again, though.
Wow.
And Cal May, like Zion Spartan, there's just,
abuse.
At this point, you just can't lane against Aurelia. Like, Aurelia just easily takes over most lanes as the game progresses, and there's nothing that Yorick can do in that lane. But going back to what I was saying, Nocturne, with his juggling speed, he's actually been able to pull up a CS advantage over Skarner, and a lot of that's due to the fact that Skarner has been very aggressive about ganking and roaming around the map to get advantages for World Elite. But we'll see whether or not that gold advantage will help him out some. Skarner doesn't really need a lot of gold though. Usually, as long as you get a couple of tanky items, he's a support jungler. It's not that big of a deal. He's going to be tanky regardless.
So we have that Oracles in Atlanta. It will stall just a little bit. And right before that last kill, I was about to say, he's like, well, yeah, a stall is good because Dynamic, they need just a little bit more time, a little bit more gold to buy out into their further items. But after that kill, I'm realizing that Kamei is just top lane, pretty much free farming at this point. It's like, well, a stall is kind of strange when you're doing it up against someone who essentially is a free farm lane. Because granted, you're making your team a little bit better, but you're giving all the time in the world for one member of the opposing team to just get ridiculous. And that's definitely what's happening with Aurelia right now.
Yeah, and World Elite doing a really nice job pushing down all those outer turrets, so getting the top lane. It does open up some farming opportunities for Ezreal in the bottom. However, Vlad's going down to counter that out, so Zig will have to play kind of defensively here for a second. Messiah can counter it. Atlanta has the Oracles, though, and he's walking right up into Sona, gets off that fear, but we'll have to back off for a second. And World Elite, they're kind of split right now if Dynamic goes in for a fight.
Pixel, can we get another awesome hook? That would be amazing, but you don't quite have the team support there to back you up just at the moment. And you'll see also Zig got pushed back away from Messiah, is realizing you're 4 levels ahead of me, Messiah. I do not want to be dancing with you right here at this very moment. But Messiah's making his way back up to mid, keeping those stacks on his E nice and fresh for the maximum damage there on the Tides. But right now, it's a little bit of a defense mode here for World Elite. They recognize, okay, Atlanta's got that Oracles, are going to be a little bit less on vision, but also remember, Baron is a ripe opportunity here, and I mentioned before how Dynamic likes to go for that early if given the opportunity.
Yeah, World Elite, though, they will relish any opportunity to fight, and so it will, sit back for a couple of minutes. While World Elite, they probably won't go, press the Baron until about 24. Dynamic, on the other hand, even though they have been really aggressive for those Barons in the past, they don't really have the best ward control right now, so they need to watch out that. If they go for it, that World Elite just doesn't swarm on them, because the AoE for World Elite could very quickly win that fight. But we'll have to see how it kind of progresses. One of the nice things with the World Elite right now is that because all of their carries are individually so strong, Vladimir, Aurelia, and Graves, they can all actually split push and win any lane matchup. Like, no one's going to be able to lane against them right now. So that opens up opportunities for World Elite to continue to farm. They want all the lanes to be pushed. So Graves, he goes in the top lane, he pushes that lane a little bit while his team is stalling mid. And then, he can come back, join up, because they're ready for that AoE fight.
Yeah, and you see now that If has actually bought himself in Oracles as well. So, all the vision, if it wasn't already semi-reduced from Dynamic, they didn't have the best coverage in the world. Now it's going to be even a little bit less here. So now it's just a matter of Gigabyte pushing their way in, making their presence known, forcing Dynamic back, and then in all that time they can go ahead, clear all the wards, increase their coverage of the map, and they can just go ahead and push from there, because you got the Vlad, he's doing very well for himself. You got Calme, you got Aurelia doing amazing at the moment. And look at it, you got the Giants built, you got the Ruby Crystal. Warmogs, Aurelia, just stay tanky.
Oh, Dynamic, are they going up for it, though? Atlanta, he is going to clear the Oracles.
Oh, yeah.
They did see World Elite start heading down bottom, and they're positioning themselves over by the Baron pit. One thing with World Elite's team right now, they need to win a team fight in order to keep pushing, so that means pressuring objectives. And actually, YJT and Messiah, they're walking right into the team. The Skarner pull will help pull Pixel back, and actually World Elite is turning this around. Blitzcrank goes down very quickly, and Paradoxical is dropping fast to Messiah.
Oh, you got Messiah right on front, trying to take out everybody with Calme there with the ult. Zion versus Calme right there. It's a very familiar sight, but you know what? Ignore that. We're going for Atlanta. He does throw down the ult. Darkness will not deter them. The York ult does actually go down. He's going to get a little bit extra damage, but will go down quickly. World Elite has no qualms taking out that goal, but there you go. Messiah out in front with the pull is ignited, but we'll actually get back. Calme just tanking everything for the team here in the meantime, and Zion may actually be able to get his revenge. Will he get it? No! Wait!
Oh, wait!
No!
Oh, wow, just barely surviving.
Wow, 20 health.
They can transition over, get the dragon, continue to build on their gold lead. But that was kind of a big opportunity for Dynamic, and they're just not strong enough to follow up on it. World Elite is just phenomenal right now.
Pixel had a golden opportunity. He had a fantastic opportunity, but just thread the needle with that hook. He couldn't get Vlad, he couldn't get Skarner, he couldn't get anybody. And then to add a little bit of insult to injury, fail flash, could not get over the wall, and just an unfortunate start there for a Dynamic. And with that, that is now an 8K gold lead, which is expanded ever more for World Elite.
Yeah, and World Elite's late game presence is phenomenal with Graves, Aurelia, and Vladimir. They all scale very well. Dynamic with Ari and Ezreal, they will as well, but their damage output isn't quite as much as other AP and AD carries. And so with World Elite's early item advantage, they're also building into some more tanky items. And so Aurelia going for that Warmogs, Rylai's onto Vladimir as well. Once they finish that up, Dynamic, they might not have enough damage to take them down, kind of like in that last fight. They just didn't quite have enough burst. Even though it was a 5v2 at the start, they couldn't finish them off. So we'll see how Dynamic can respond. They need to stall off. They need to force initiations, though. So, they need to pick people off. We'll see if they can, be aggressive, grab some people. Aurelia alone in the top lane, but, they'll kind of leave her alone.
If Pixel, I've said it before, Pixel, if he can get if he can get a hook, if he can get a fantastic hook, and just separate World Elite, that could be huge. But here's the Kame up top lane is going to get a little bit caught, but here comes the rest of the World Elite, and Kame is tanky enough, is strong enough to go ahead and delay everyone, waiting for the rest of the team to get here, and there they go, the hook coming on in. Pixel's going to melt immediately. Paradoxical will also follow the same fate. The flash away from Zion Spartan, knowing how much pain Kame is capable of doing, and there's the Blade Search, and a stun, and a slow, and everything else you need. Atlanta and Zig so far away, just could not do a damn thing, and that is a perfect opportunity. World Elite right now going for that Baron. They're going to start it. They should be able to secure it, no problem. But Zig still has his ultimate. There's still hope.
Yeah, and Dynamic was baited so hard in that last fight. World Elite is pressuring Baron right now, but the big thing is Dynamic, they know in order to get back in this game, they need to pick people off, and Aurelia looked very tasty, but they couldn't quite finish it off. Atlanta sitting in the middle of the team, though, Ezreal getting vision, and so Messiah holding the point won't allow him to get in there. He won't be able to defend this Baron as it goes down pretty quickly, and Messiah actually with the slow, trying to get in range of Atlanta. If he gets one more Q, he should be able to finish that off. World Elite chasing them down, and Blitzcrank, the Shirelias, they'll be able to pursue him, but they can't transition to the top lane. So the big thing is Aurelia was just too tanky for them. Paradoxical, he blew his entire ultimate trying to chase down Aurelia, which means they weren't ready for that fight. World Elite very quickly won it, and I don't know, it's looking very grim. Like there's very little opportunity for Dynamic to come back in this game. World Elite, they've been very safe in their play, and they've been in control since, I don't know, minute 5 basically, like very early in the game.
Very early on, those fights were great. That they got that first dragon. Kame took huge command of top lane very early on, and at this point is just nigh unkillable. You got the Warmogs, you got the Trinity, and even building on more. Chain Vest is going to be going into an Atma's. That's going to be even more damage, and it's just going to go crazy, crazy, crazy from here.
Yeah, so we'll see how Dynamic can stall off, but World Elite, they have nice positioning. They can continue to push. I know that Paradoxical, he can stall some with his AoE clearing. Dragon won't be up for another 2 minutes, so they'll have to watch out for there. But World Elite is setting themselves up for an engage down bottom, and Nocturne diving onto Graves. We'll get some quick damage. Graves almost taking down Zig, and Atlanta picks up the kill, but he's walking right into the rest of World Elite right now. At
the very least, this is going to be a 1-for-1, and a wasted ult actually there in the Skarner. I don't even think they really needed to use it, but that's the thing though, you still have so much pressure. It is now a 4v4 situation, but you have such a tanky front line here for World Elite. Vlad, very regen, and just Kame right there in front. I was talking before about the Pixel hook, but when you have two really tanky champs that can still survive a whole bunch of initial burst, that hook just has now become useless. So you wait for the buff to go away, you may be able to just try and stall out, just try and stall as much as you can for the next Baron, but I think World Elite might be able to finish it before that happens.
Yeah, and picking up any kills, it allows World Elite to, pressure the towers. They're strong enough where they can, with the Baron regen, they can tank a couple of shots to the turrets and then, back off, heal it back up. So it won't be that big of a concern for them. But we'll see. Graves is making his way down, and yeah, they could have an all-out brawl. And the big thing is Skarner, he could force a fight into Dynamic. Zion, with the York pick, he can kite decently. Like, they have a lot of survivability with Ezreal and Ahri as well. They can, dive and avoid, or jump back and avoid that AoE. So if they can avoid World Elite's AoE and head-on initiation, then they should be okay. But the concern is whether or not they have the damage to follow up on it.
Yeah, and it's also just a matter of actually getting to those squishy ships, try and turn the fight, take care of the Graves first and foremost there, because he's going to be the easiest target if you can get to him. Granted, Atlanta's great champion, Nocturne, fantastic, but he used his ult to snipe him out earlier, so it was like a big ult. There's a flash. Sona ult coming on in. Kame right out in front there, along with the ult coming from Messiah, and Pixel's going to be going, and it's just a steamroller. Absolute steamroller running on in to the enemy base here from World Elite, taking down everybody in their path. Champs is melting immediately left and right. Mid is going to go down completely, and I don't think the respawn timers are going to be in Dynamic's favor. I think this may actually be game, and there's the surrender coming on in. Game 1 going to be going to World Elite. Fantastic.